Hello and welcome back to the Music is Therapy podcast. My name's Alan Ralston. I am an accredited psychotherapist. For 20 years I've worked in the mental health and addiction field, and I've saw firsthand and experienced myself the benefits of listening to music. This podcast is a genuine call in the midst of all the apps that we've got now to spend some of your day listening to music like we did back in the day. There's a lot of studies about Andrew Huberman, who's got the biggest podcast just about, apart from maybe Rogan. He's a neuroscientist. He's got a full podcast dedicated to the simplicity and the massive impact of listening to music. He speaks about the protocols and stuff. He's got it down as like in kind of nerdy language to 10 to 30 minutes a day. Listening to music has got things like you wouldn't imagine. Lowering your heart rate, engages your rest and relaxation nervous system. It lowers your breathing as well. So if you've had a stressful day, I'd encourage you to go home and listen to an album from start to finish. It's a skill that we're losing, and it's one hopefully this podcast could promote. That's the most important thing, out with it, kind of me and my two pals running this and having a bit of fun with it. But also there's another aspect to the podcast as well. I'd like to, for me, I've been discovered some of my greatest albums through listening to some great artists and some people who talk passionately about music, and I love finding out a wee bit of the backstory about albums and stuff. So this podcast is a call to listen to music and hopefully an introduction into music that you have no heard before. And Spotify and the likes is a bad thing because it's we live in a landscape. For me, I'm doing a whole of 90s music and trying to fight my way out, you know, sometimes, and I always want the dopamine hit. So it's like I've got to force myself sometimes to sit down. But with my guests, particularly the last one we had, he mentioned a lot of bands, and I was straight out here listening. He's introduced me to a whole load of music that I knew nothing about, from Canadian artists to all sorts, to heavy metal stuff. And that's the good thing about WhatsApp and the likes and your YouTubes and stuff. I've got it right there. I don't need to save up my pocket money and get the bus into Impulse and Hamilton and anything like that. So it's right there. So what I try to do, I try to listen to the full album to invest in that, as opposed to the greatest hits. I'm becoming something more of a greatest hits addict, as in I just want to, you know, drink my coffee in the morning, listen to greatest hits and relive the memories of the glory days, or so I think. Anyway, that's enough about me this week. I'm really looking forward to the podcast this week. We've got a professional musician, no hassle mate, no pressure, no hassle, Joe Gallagher.
Yes.
Nothing to the famous brothers, I don't think, no.
Distant cousins.
There you go.
But we don't get on. Our mads don't talk anymore. Big fun it. In fact, I think they're getting together this year for a wee reunion.
I've heard a rumour.
I think we're all getting together at some point.
If there's any spare tickets, he's a shout. So Joe has played up and down Europe wide and up and down the UK. He's played with some of the biggest global stars that we've got, to some of the best indie music we've got as well. So there's a massive range that he's gigged with. He's played in some of the most iconic venues, and for me that would be the Barrowlands. You played King Tut's, mate?
Oh, loads of times, aye.
King Tut's and the Barrowlands, that is soul there in itself. That is live music. That's where I could go for my dopamine hits in regards to live music. And he's played the OVO and all sorts. Anyway, from Turin Brakes to Rod Stewart as well, mate.
Uncle Rod, yes.
Here we go. So, aye, mate, it's lovely to have you on, and thank you very much. I appreciate the time. You're a busy man with your scheduling and stuff like that, man. But it's great to have you down here. And what we've been doing, it's naturally fell into a, like, let's start for the start kind of thing, man. So it's like, it's like, when were you first aware, or were you brought up in an environment that was like really promoting music, man?
Well, I come from a long line of, my mum's side of the family are all folk musicians.
Right.
So I've got uncles who are played the folk clubs, and all my aunts were like folk singers and stuff like that.
Right.
So one uncle in particular was in a band called the Livingstons. They were kind of done well back in the 60s. They toured with like Billy Connolly and all these sorts of guys. So they'd done that, and I was always aware that that was a sort of family history. And when we'd go to family parties, it was the old school thing. They don't do it now, parties are shite now, but like the guitar would come out and you would be sitting as like a 6 or 7 year old and you'd be watching your uncles sort of play guitar. And it never really, I don't know, it never really hit me then, but I was on holiday at my uncle's. You know how when you were skint and you would go to your uncle's for the holiday, they'd take you to Perth, as if that was like a million miles away. So we were at my uncle's in Perth and I was bored shitless, and there was a guitar in the corner. It was the last day, I remember it, and I just went, oh, I'll just have a go at that. And he could just sort of, I think he probably heard me footing about, and he came in and showed me a couple of things, and that was it. That was it. It was like a light went on. He gave me the guitar to take home, all the way home in the back of the car, and I never put the thing down for about, I must have been 10, 11 then. I've still never put it down. So as soon as I could play 3 chords, I was writing songs, straight into school in first year, starting bands. I mean, it was really quick. It wasn't like oh well, I'll maybe see. It was just like, as soon as I could play 3 chords, I was writing tunes, right, who plays the guitar, you play the guitar, who plays the drums, and we just went through there. And it's been everything. Funny enough, I was saying to my daughter this morning, it was yesterday morning, I was sort of looking at the guitar and I went, that's took me around the world, that thing. You should learn. And funnily enough, she picked it up later that day and she's off as well. So it was a very, very fast, immediate thing. Just the light came on and it was like, well, this is it. This is what I'm going to do.
You found your calling at that young age, didn't you?
It was really weird because I was into like, I wasn't even really into anything.
Right.
Just a wee guy. I kind of played football with my cousin, my brother. You know, I liked the Carpenters. Do you know the Carpenters? Well into the Carpenters, right? And so music was around. It was in the house. My mum would, funny enough, listen to like Rod Stewart on a Saturday morning. Wow. We'd get cranked up and you'd be sitting going, oh, fuck's sake, man. Patsy Cline and all that. Oh, Jesus. But it was always there. But it's funny, it wasn't until I picked the guitar up and I thought, oh, fucking hell, you know, this feels, it just felt right.
So you're more it was less passive for you and more creative then, your first kind of recollections of music?
100%. As soon as I could play the 3 chords, I was writing songs. Right away. I never wanted to be like a virtuoso guitar player. I still know. I mean, I've been in bands where I'm not even the best guitar player, and I'm the fucking guitar player. The drummer's better than me. You know, I was never into like being the best. I just wanted to create. I wanted to be around it. It felt writing songs immediately felt like something I was going to do. But I'm obviously still writing and stuff. But for me, it was the creation, and I loved like the look of bands. I loved like what bands. I remember going into guitar shops and seeing posters on the wall and going, "Hey guys, look fucking great, man."
Who in particular, mate?
Well, at that time it was like 1995. So we're talking the start of sort of Britpop.
Right.
So Oasis were the big band at that time. So for me it was like Oasis, and then as we go through the years, then the Stereophonics came along, and I remember discovering them and hearing his voice and going, fucking hell, man, that guy's, he's amazing. And you know, I ended up buying an SG because Kelly Jones played an SG. You know, so as well as the sound, it was the aesthetic, it was the look. I loved the look. You know, I loved the Adidas and the shoes and all the gear. It was brilliant, man.
And did you be encouraged at school to play? Was it did you go down the route of learning how to read music and stuff like that? Or was it just
No, and that never appealed to me.
Wow.
No. It was just always instinctive.
Right.
And it was always just something that like if you would go into school, and my mate Dukes, who I ended up being in band, still play music with him now, he was well ahead of me, so he would know all these exotic chords, sevenths, and you know, and I'd be going, show me that, you know, I was always wanting to learn, but in my own realm, if you know what I mean. I was never interested in like the virtuosity, or you know, I was never bothered by anybody being better than me. That was never an issue for me. You know, he's better than you. I don't care. You know, I just want to do what I want to do, and I'm in my band. I'm able to. You know, they say that thing, know your lane.
Yes.
I'm fucking brilliant at that. Like as soon as I get into where I need to be and I'm comfortable and I can, I'm quite happy. I don't care if this guy's here.
What age were you then, mate?
Oh, I started my first band at 11 as soon as I could play.
You were laying then at that age?
Right away. So as soon as I went to high school, this wee guy, Dougs, wee pal of mine, he was the quietest wee guy. And I went, as soon as I was in high school, I was in about it, I was like, right, who plays the guitar? Because we were on to football and all that, and I remember somebody saying, wee Alan over there, so I'm right over. Right, mate, you play the guitar? Aye. You want to be in a band? Aye. That was it. And then we sort of started like writing on my band. You know how you, let's make up a band name, and you start making up the sign and all that. And right away, I mean, it was so quick. I remember saying to Doug, do you know any drummers? And he said, aye, there's a guy that I used to live next door to, Ryan Fletcher. I heard this is amazing. I heard he's getting drums for his Christmas. So I was like, right, magic. This was the start of school, so August. So that weekend, the Saturday morning, where does he live? He lives in Herbertson Grove, the bungalow in Herbertson Grove. Walked up from my ma's about 5-10 minute walk. Chapped the door, and his dad Stevie answered the door. All right, I says, is Ryan in? Aye. Ryan came to the door and I went, are you getting drums for Christmas? And he went, aye. And I went, you want to be in a band? I swear to God. And he went, aye. You want to give him a football? And I went, aye. And I never left his house for about 6 years. Wow, I swear to God, I spent my whole time with him. That me and him became like really best pals at that point. And it was as quick as that. There was absolutely no doubt in my mind that that's what I was going to do.
Right. And that, I think, see, like you're talking about, man, so you're not learning the technical side of it, but that creative side and the production, bringing something into the world that wasn't there before. I love that, mate. And that's therapy in itself, you know what I mean? But I think, would I maybe be right in saying, I always remember, like, my dad would tell us, like, the Corries, they couldn't write or read music. They played absolutely for their heart, for their soul, for their ear, listening to music, learning the notes from their ear. And they would often, you know, people would say, you know, that travels further, that resonates even there when you're actually moving away from how, he plays that, I want to play that. You find your own style, and I think, see, I mean, it took me into my 40s to find out what I'm good at and where I'm in this world, but having that as a gift at that age, that, like you said, you didn't have to be the virtuoso Eddie Van Halen fucking, know what I mean? It was more about the flow of things, then, is it fair, mate?
Well, it was more about it was kind of more about vocal, because as a young man, especially then, it's a bit different now, but as a young man then, you didn't talk much, you never spoke much, you know, in terms of what you were feeling or what you were thinking, you know, so I suppose in a way, and this is going to sound, I don't mean to sound pure hippie and all that, but at that age when you look back, you look at some of the songs you're writing, you're thinking, it's a bit of therapy for yourself as a young man, you know, and you can get your point of view across, and you can, you know, music can create a feeling, you know, so I was writing sad songs, I was writing happy songs, I was writing rock songs, I was writing folk songs, I was writing, there was no boundary, you know, and I could get everything that I needed to get out onto the paper, and then the feeling, I can't describe to you the feeling. I know that Joe Gallagher talks about this as well, but when you take your song into a rehearsal room that you've written in your room, and there's like 4 chords or whatever, and your mates start playing the drums, and somebody starts putting a bass, see that feeling? It's fucking unbelievable. No matter what age, even now, Darren, getting in a room, and it's harder now as you get older because you've got other commitments, but if you get in a room with somebody, 3 or 4 guys, and you make this sound, it's amazing, and that's almost as addictive as all the other things that come with the lifestyle eventually when you get out and touring and all that. But people tend to forget the reason why you're there is to make that noise.
I think that's a yin and yang. rock stars, and the fun their peace and the fun they healing in the studio or in their bedroom, and the craziness ensues like after that. And I think if you didn't have one, you wouldn't be able to cope with the other one. Maybe the hedonistic kind of side to it.
I think that when you're younger, it's not really a thing, obviously, because you're playing in youth centres and fucking church halls and all that, and you know your school, what they call the auditorium and talent shows. That's a bit. But as you get older and you start to read up, and you know Keith Richards can drink a bottle of Jack Daniels before he goes on stage, and then suddenly you think you can do that, and then you realise very fucking quickly that you can't. You know, it kind of is the death of creation, all that stuff that comes with it. But I've known some of the most talented guys, some of the best musicians I've ever met. Just fucking, when it comes to that side of things, it just takes over, man. It can take over. It's easy done. I mean, I'm on tour. When you're on tour, you've got the whole day. You're sound checking for an hour, and then you've got another 4 hours before you're on stage. And if you're in a place where you're not happy and the guys you're touring with you don't get on with, or whatever the situation may be, it's fucking really easy to fall into that trap, And at the same time, because it goes both ways. If you get on with everybody you're on tour with, then you're just having a great time. So going down that road of madness is so easy. I see it all the time. I've been part of it. I've seen it. I've taken part in it. I watch it. It's somehow they go hand in hand, and that's just the name of the game.
It's a thin line, mate. Creation and destruction.
I think
so. Very thin line, mate.
I think so. I think people see the romantic side of dismantling their life in order for them to have something to write about. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Almost like deliberately sabotaging their happiness so that they have somewhere to go, that they can, that they can pull something out of. Absolutely. And that works for some people. I think when you're younger, it's definitely, it's like the Pete Doherty romantic, madness. That's definitely it's definitely appealing to you when you're younger. But when you get to my age, you can kind of fucking sit down and have a cup of tea and go, well, that's fucking mental.
Aye.
I'd rather a camel wafer,
but again, so we had this. I know what maybe like fast, but see in regards to that, would you say like what's born for that, like that less hedonistic kind of lifestyle? Then would you say that the harder you live, the kind of the more fruits at times as an artist you could have?
I think that's the perception, but I think that's actually horseshit, to be honest with you. I think if you listen to records like Be Here Now, which was made in a coke-fueled, alcohol-ridden state, it's actually pretty evident that that's what's going on at that time. The songs are too long, doesn't really make any sense, there's 1,000 guitar parts on every track, it's all ego. I think the best music's made, from what I can tell, when people are content and they're happy and they're actually focused on what they're doing. Don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm sure there's records that have been made, the Stones have made records, but they can't have been out their head the whole. You can't write a song, you cannot write a song like Wild Horses and be obliterated every minute. Do you know what I'm trying to say? There's got to be moments where it's like, right, well, we need to work here. So I think there's definitely a kind of, we'll let them think what they want to think kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? But there's definitely hard work that goes into these things.
Can you use an example? You think, see, like coming from like more kind of peaceful, contented state then? What kind of, could you almost see where, like as a musician, I'd bought the ticket, signed up for everything in regards to Oasis at the time, mate. So you talk about that, I had no idea that there was 100 guitars all gone. They just been spewed onto an album, basically. What you're saying there, right? I had the idea of that, mate. So would you like in picking these things out as a musician? Could you like almost listen to one and say that's coming for a fucking lovely place? That's straight for the heart there.
I don't know. I think you can. I think you can certainly smell the bullshit.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Aye.
I think you're more likely to smell the bullshit than you are to smell the roses.
Lyrically or musically?
I think if somebody's trying to do something that isn't genuine, you can fucking see it right away.
Right.
I'm trying to think of an example. Off the top of my head, I can't. You know when like bands try to fan, well, this is the sound of the day, and when it just falls flat, people can smell it a mile away.
Right.
And then you look at a band like U2 who have managed to evolve and change in their own way, and their own, and they've stayed true to themselves in every era of U2. The Beatles the same. The Beatles, I mean, you look at the Beatles from 63, they were only really gone for 8 years. Could have been 4 different bands, but they never lost the sense of the Beatles. And I'm trying to think of an example. I mean, the Stereophonics, for instance, are an example for me. First 2 records are great rock and roll records, and then they disappear into this like middle of the road, obscurity, where they think that this is how you sell records. That's how I feel about it. That's how I see it. They evolve, but in the wrong way, and in a way where they want to sell records and stay relevant. Whereas the great art doesn't care whether it's relevant or not. It just happens, and people either go with it or they don't.
I think you're saying the struggles with the Stereophonics. I can remember, I really like the song. I don't know what album it was. Maybe it was the middle one you're talking about, called Mr. Writer.
So the third one.
So he's lambasting the critics that are coming from him, but he's almost talked to himself too. Why don't you tell it like it really is? Like you say, he's maybe aware that he's fell into this middle of the road blandness.
Very possibly. I mean, that is a great song. That is a shit record for me, but that's a great song. And then it sort of tails off for me. But maybe other people disagree with that. That's what makes it so interesting. Aye. Because everybody's got a different opinion. Aye. And that's why you'll listen to one record and I won't, and I'll listen to a record and you won't. Do you know what I mean? That's what makes it. That's what makes the world go round.
I think it's a genuine. See the connection, the ability. What you're saying there is just like, see that ability. I would rather listen to somebody play 3 chords for the heart than somebody doing like this, like with a fucking guitar and stuff like that. And I think that's like you're talking about. You might be able to smell out the bullshit quicker than the normal kind of average, just everyday listener, mate. So is that like way that? So see, like in creating, would you listen to be inspired, or would you listen? What would inspire you to write then? Would it just be day-to-day things, or would you look up to some of these, the Jaggers and the because see what I love about the Beatles, actually even there. It's like, see when the Disney stuff came out about making some of one of the albums, and it's just boys fair scheme, fucking not like each other, having a good time. Right? One of the most iconic songs ever. I think it's Let It Be when McCartney's on the piano, and in the background, like George Harrison's trying to ease like that to the cameras, like taking the piss, right? This guy's just about to sing, just starting one of the most iconic songs ever, right? And he catches his eye, like McCartney, it caught his eye what he's up to. And he wasn't almost like, yeah, Dick, stop doing this, I'm just about to play my belter here. He kind of smirks. And I thought, oh man, kids don't give a fuck either.
But that's how the greatest records are made. You forget that, like, fucking...
It's an innocence.
Totally. And they don't know they're making fucking Let It Be.
That's right.
They're just writing a tune, you know what I mean? It just so happens that it's unbelievable. Aye. And it's one of the most recognised tunes in popular music history. Aye. But they don't know they're doing that at the time. Nobody does. It's like movies. They don't know they're making Apocalypse Now. They're just making a movie and they had an idea and they happen to make this fucking movie. And it's like one of the greatest things that's ever been made. Yep. So if you go in with the mindset of, this is going to be, I'm going to change the fucking world here. The chances are you're fucking changing nothing. The channel's getting changed. Do you know what I mean? That's the chances. But if you go in open, that's the thing about working with other musicians. If you can go in an open book, that's why I don't have any hang-ups. Like, I'm really fucking open. Like, when I go in and work with people, it's like, well, you play that because you're obviously better at playing.
Yes.
Or what's your idea? And I don't go in. It's not like this mad fucking dictatorship.
Aye.
And that's kind of what making music's about, you know. Some people are different. Some guys go in and they know they want you to do this, but that's never what it was about for me. It was about hanging out with my pals, writing tunes, and even playing, like, even now, like, I'm maybe a sideman now, and I love it because I just turn up, somebody puts my guitar on me, I play my guitar, I take it half in it, and then I just go and have fun with my mates, and there's no pressure. But what you were saying there, what inspires me, funnily enough, I've not been writing, I've not been doing anything for ages, and I've suddenly started to really feel like I should be doing. So I've got this thing where I say to people, there's people that would give their right arm to be able to write a fucking half a chorus, and there's guys like me and some of my mates who can write these songs as if, you know, whether they're good or not doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't need to be a masterpiece, but we can do it, so we should be doing it. We should be doing it because we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to the people who would maybe, even if one person listens to it, then that's great. You've made an impact. So I watched the Bob Dylan movie the other night, and I was like, fuck, I really want to just pick my guitar up.
Good.
So it's starting to kind of come back. I think the sideman thing, as fun as it is, you know, and it's great fun because you don't have any of the...
Sideman being what? Explain
like,
that
just playing the guitar and singing some backing vocals and not having any responsibility to pick. I don't have to deal with a set list, I don't have to do any interviews, I don't have to do anything other than just play my guitar.
You talk about you're doing that within, if you're playing a guitar for somebody like Rod Stewart, you're having fun with that then, is that what you're talking about?
Oh, it's amazing. It's great. That's the bit. That's the gig. That's the best gig. But something within me wants to write songs and sing them. You know, that creative thing that I had when I was younger, it's still there. It's still there. So it's. I mean, I'll make another record soon, I would have thought.
Well, hopefully this podcast fucking inspires.
Well, I think, you know, it's nice that people remember you've actually done a couple of things and you might have played a few gigs and you know, you've got a few stories and met a few people. And I made a record with Ollie Knights for Turin Brakes last year or the year before, and it's not seen the light of day, but that's only just because it's just, you know, we were talking about Spotify, we're in a world where, like, things get released and they just fucking disappear. Right. You know, and we think it's fucking brilliant, but we don't want it just to disappear, you know what I mean? We don't want to just put it out there and then it just disappears, you know, because you put work in it, it's hard work. So you want to be, and it's the show off in you maybe that wants to be recognised for that. But I suppose the world we live in, you know, you're just going to have to put it out there and hope that somebody picks it up. Again, I mean, I've done a couple of things for people who loved some of my early records and they've taken me, like, play private events for them and stuff like that. And they people love the records, and that's enough for me. Even if there's two people, you know, and my kids. Something nice for my kids to look back on when I'm away, and they'll go, well, my dad wasn't actually that bad at this, you know what I mean?
It must be tough though, like getting your heart and soul into something, a project like that, and like you say, man, it's just getting swamped with all different things, and you could see things getting pulled out, and it's saying that's some nonsense, a lot of things that's getting pulled and trending and now. And I think, but at the same time, you get so much for that creative action, and because see if you wrote all your life, mate, I don't know, like, if you have been part of that, like, flow state in regards to music, you must really miss it when you don't do it, mate.
It's it feels like constipation. The pipe's clogged at the moment, but eventually it's going to clear.
Yep.
And I think it's coming soon. I can feel it I can actually feel, like, watch that Bob Dylan movie, and then there's a band in Glasgow now called the Joy Hotel. I don't know if you've heard them.
No, mate.
Fucking brilliant, man. And I just listen to them and I go, I just need to get some work done because I'm going to get left behind. It's almost like a muscle, because when you stop picking your guitar up and try to write, you know, you almost forget how to do it. So I just need to get back into the swing and all that. But I mean, it's coming. Something's coming. I can feel it, but what it is, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Where do you feel it, mate? See, you're talking about, is it Joy Hotel?
Oh, I feel it right here. I don't listen to music with my head, really.
What do you mean?
Like I feel it here, like literally in my chest.
Your heart.
Mm-hmm.
As a response, full somatic experience.
I never used to, as I'm getting older I get more emotional. I never used to listen to it emotionally. But I think we were sort of talking about that earlier, when you were younger you bought into a scene and you know it was either something was either shite or it was what you listened to, and there was a thing and you dressed and you lived that whole thing. But I think as you get older, you know, you know, you sort of let go of that sort of goes a bit, and you start to open yourself up to different kinds of music and different genres and different sounds and all that. And as I'm getting older, like my favourite thing to do on a night is like when the kids are in bed is get YouTube on and get onto all the old TFI Friday performances and remember how brilliant all that was.
Yeah, some
fucking unbelievable.
I think we'll talk about the rise and how much respect that Sean Ryder's got, and I think Chris Evans played a huge part in that. He was Chris Evans' drinking partner for a while when he was on. I know he got barred at one point because he kept doing the swearing. And
that's fucking terrible, that.
it was funny, the last performance, he's like, mate, I'll give you Chris Evans like that, because it was 6 o'clock at Friday night, wasn't he? What swearing? He's like, I'll give you my shoes. If you don't swear this 5-minute interview, I'll give you I'll literally give you my shoes. Sean, he's like, alright, take them off. He's like, alright, take them off from that desk. So he looked at him and he was like, oh, fucking Patrick. He says, you're fucking Patrick Cox. And he's like, oh, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? So it was like, I think, it depended who. It's like, no, it's old adage, mate. It's no what you know about. It's who you know into it, man. It's the connections you've got about, and that's me.
It's funny because that's certainly been the case for me. I'm not the best guitar player by any manner of means, but I seem to be in the right place at the right time quite a lot of the time. You know, I've done some fucking mad tours and gigs and like some stuff that, you know, I played with Eric Cantona, believe it or not.
Wow.
Like madness, right?
You toured recently, didn't you, in the UK?
So I done the support slots for that.
Wow.
In Glasgow and Aberdeen.
Right.
He's mental.
Is he as eccentric
in the greatest way, man, and just the greatest way. He pretends he can't speak English so that he doesn't have to talk to you, right? But still, so I done, the first gig was in Glasgow, and so I went down to sound check, and he was on the stage. He's enormous, right? He's solid, right? And he's on stage in this canary yellow tracksuit, right, with his hat on, these big glasses. And I'm sat there going, that's fucking Eric Cantona. Wow. So I made a point of I said, right, I'm not going to talk to him about football. I'm not going to speak to him about football. I'm just going to speak to him as if he's a musician. And he's up there and he's stunning, and he's got this piano player and he's got this cello player who's got all these guitar pedals, right? This avant-garde French music, right? And I'm like, Jesus Christ. So he comes off the stage, he comes right over, how are you? And I'm like, I'm Magic Man. I slapped his arm, and it was like slapping a fucking brick wall, right?
Oh, man.
So he sort of grabbed me and he was chatting to me, and he said, I'll see you later. And I was like, right. So I sound checked. And normally guys like that stature would maybe get their tour manager to take them to the hotel, like in between sound check and the gig. So you've got like 3 or 4 hours to kill. And so I goes down into my dressing room and I went, I need something. So I went to go through this door, but I never knew it was Eric's dressing room. And as I opened the door, there was a big red wingback chair in there, and he was just sitting in it, staring at the wall, just sitting there. Must have been just thinking, wow, sorry, he went, it's okay. It is okay. So he sat there till he went on stage. Wow. Madness. He was nuts. Like no nuts like Craig, like it was nuts meeting him, like somebody like that, you know. And these are the things that happen to you just by knowing the right people, being in the right place at the right time. Countless other things like that. The Rod Stewart thing was a bit like that as well, to be honest. That came out of kind of came out of the blue.
But so is it your manager would be?
I don't have a manager.
So how would you get a gig like the Cantona?
So the Cantona thing, I met a guy called Craig Johnson who works at DF Concerts. He's the sort of one of the main promoters, and him and I just hit it off. And he just texted me up and said, "Listen, I put you forward for the Eric Cantona gig," and then there it was. Just by being just by being in the right place. Obviously, you have to work hard and you have to be good and you have to be reliable. All these things are a given. But what I'm saying is that for not being the best, like, you know, most, you know, dedicated to my art, to my craft, you know, because I think you can dedicate yourself to something too much and lose the essence of the rest of your life, you know what I mean, the detriment to everything else, you know. I do enough to get by, and I'm good enough to get by, and as I say, I know my lane, you know, but I've got this thing where if somebody says to me, can you do this? And I believe I can do it, even though I can't quite do it yet, I just say aye, I go aye.
Wow.
So it was a thing, I do a lot of work for Celtic, and they phoned me up and they were like, it's Scott Brown's testimonial, can you sing on the pitch? So immediately, you're like, aye. They say, well, we're going to get you to sing You'll Never Walk Alone, but we're playing Ireland, so it's like, that's going to be the national anthem for Scotland. Could you sing the Irish national anthem, but could you do it in Gaelic?
Right.
You've got 2 days. And I went, aye. Aye, I'll fucking do it. I swear to God, man, you should have seen my, you know how those your tablet? I had written it out phonetically.
Right.
Sheena, Feena, file, the word file, which is obviously spelled differently, and I had this thing on my pad, man. And I thought, why not? I can do that. So that, I think that gets me a lot of places as well, just saying, aye. I think that's important. There's loads of guys who would be like, oh no, I don't know if I could do that. But what's the worst thing? I meet an arse in front of 60,000 people and somebody films it and you're on YouTube forever and they go, there's that idiot that made an arse of the Irish national anthem. They don't know anyway. I could have been singing anything. You know what I mean? The guy for Shettleston doesn't know the words to the Irish national anthem in Gaelic. But as I was walking through the players' lounge to go and do it, me and my dad, this guy for fucking Dublin grabbed me and he went, I'll be listening. I know the words, and I was like, oh yeah. So I was shaking myself, and then the sprinklers went on, and I've got a pad out there, so I'm thinking that's going to get wet and break. I can read it, but I've no, you know. But these sort of things, just say aye. I just say aye. Why not? You know, can you do this? Aye.
That carries an energy, mate. I think opportunities arise from that.
100%.
That intention, mate.
100%. I can trace things back to the moment I said aye to something, and it goes up and up and up and up. You know, and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
How did it go?
Oh, fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
That was great. It was really well. It's on YouTube. Brilliant. It's on YouTube, kids. Just type in Scott Brown testimonial. It went great. And then I've been there now for 6 years and done loads of mad stuff for Celtic as well. Right. So aye.
So you're a testimonial guy?
Testimonial, done that. What else have I done? Done a couple of Player of the Years. Played at the Hydro, doing Player of the Year last year. We've done that. Done a couple of things with King Henrik, which has been good. Right. I think I'm the only person in the world where Henrik Larsson signed guitar. Wow. I don't get many things. I don't buy in. I'll get stuff signed for other people. But I was like, fuck it, I'm getting Henrik to sign my guitar. So I got him to sign it. But he signed it right on the bit where my arm sits. So it's covered.
Rubbed away.
No, I don't want to play it in case I rub it away. And it's a crack guitar. It sounds great as well. But that guitar's that's been signed by a few. Betty Old signed it, and Brendan signed it, and a couple of other people. But things like that for the football. But music wise, like the Rod thing came for, you know, my mate Tam, who was playing in the band with John, had just told me, he said, we're doing the stadium tour with Rod Stewart in the summer. And I just said, if you need anybody, like, give us a shout. You know, just that's what I would do. That's what I would always, if anything happens. And so they done the stadium tour. I never thought of it. They done the stadiums, and then they were doing the arena tour in the winter. And I got a phone, and my phone went on in the September before they were due to go in the November. And as soon as I seen his name, I went, this is it.
That'll do.
What are you doing? What are you doing in November? I fucking knew it right away. I was like, and then that's been since 2018. I've been doing that.
Oh really? So you have sessions?
No, I don't. Well, I've done a couple of things with Rod. We played at the Barras with Rod actually. Right. He sang Maggie Mayways at the Barras, which was another mad thing. We were sort of the Scottish Music Awards, and I was playing with Johnny Mack and the Faithful, and I was on lead guitar by this point, and we were doing. Rod was getting a Lifetime Achievement Award, So because we done loads of touring with Rod, we were asked to play. So we done two of our songs, and then in honour of Rod, we were doing Maggie May, and he was sat at the side of the stage, and he just thought, fuck it, he grabbed the mic, and came on and sang Maggie May at the fucking Barlands, you know what I mean? So the only time he's played the bar is we were his band, you know.
Are you also the main singer in your band?
No, Johnny McNiff. So we John McLaughlin, who's like he was a songwriter for years. He wrote he wrote like Busted and 911 songs and Westlife songs and all that.
Wow.
So John started this band, and they were on the go, and I joined like 6 months after they started. Sort of rejigged the band, and I again just being in the right place at the right time.
Yep.
It's better to be lucky than to be good, as they say. Absolutely. That's what Terry, the accordion player, always says to me every day. He goes, it's better to be lucky than to be good. And I kind of believe it, you know. This is the thing, like there's a million guys who could do the job that I'm doing, like easily, like better, like who are 100 times better than me, but it's my job. I got it. Do you know what I mean?
And does that come from self-belief then, you think, mate?
I don't feel like when I meet these people, I don't feel like out of place. I don't feel like, oh my god, it's just, you know.
That's what we can kind of describe, you know, almost like a superpower you've got there.
I don't know about that. I think it's just like, it's no arrogance. It's definitely no. I'm not arrogant at all. I you know, as I say, there's a million guys who could do what it is that I could do. Yeah. It's no like what I do is something that cannot be recreated or anything like that. I just feel like I can hold my own. You know, and if there's something that I can't do, then I'll get to work and being able to do it. You know. It's just a. I think it's a work ethic. I think it's a working class work ethic thing, to be honest with you. And I think, you know, there's a million other things happening in the world, you know, and I just happen to be playing guitar, you know, and it's not really that. But you know, it's not really that important, to be honest. You know, it brings joy to people and all that, and that's great. And I know it does, and I know we you know. We create things and we do gigs and people enjoy themselves, and that's enough, you know.
I think it boils down to it though, it's not like you say, it's not about good and bad, it's about genuineness. And that is in short supply nowadays. I think if somebody will see you, like you say, with the working class and a genuineness that you've got, you know what I mean? Like, you, after all these years, mate, you're still excited by doing, you know, going up and fulfilling and creating and being part of, and they must feel that as well, you know what I mean, that genuineness.
The buzz of like just before you walk on stage has always been the same. It can get tired, don't get me wrong, it gets tiring and all that, but you know, if you're going to complain about fucking, you know, playing a guitar for a living, then fuck off. You know, go and do something else. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and I don't have any like we do, obviously we do the big stuff, and you know, there's the cool stuff with Rod, and we're going to Europe and we play the bars and we play the O2 and we do. But when I'm not on tour, I'm in Wonderbar, sort of, you know, the Club Wonderbar in Turin. I'm in there 5-6 nights a week, playing Harry Styles and Taylor Swift.
Oh, really?
Aye, why not?
Playing it as in?
Playing it, singing it. Playing to like 800 kids a night on a Saturday night.
Brilliant. And
it's bouncing, and I love it. And that's just as cool to me. That's as cool to me as being in a van or a tour, but because I'm playing my guitar for a living.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And there's people who think that look down on that sort of thing. And you know, you shouldn't play weddings. And fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off. If you can make a living and you can go out at night and you can get up in the morning with your friends and take them to school, then you know. And alright, maybe you're away for 3 weeks in June, and then you're away for 4 weeks in October, you know. And that's their holidays. You know, when you're away with your pals playing the guitar, waking up with your mate Terry, the Travelers, I was some gig last night, wasn't it, having a laugh. You know, that's great. But the real hard work is getting up, you know, taking your brains out on a Saturday, taking them to football, dancing, and then getting up the road and going like, I have 5, right, and you go to Wonderbar and play for 4 hours. You know, that's hard work. That's where the work is. But it's not as hard work as, you know, somebody up the roof, you know, 8 hours a day, putting a fucking roof.
Storing a production line, watching Volks pass or something.
I've got absolutely no reservations of telling people that when I'm not on tour and I'm not and it's no all big time, it isn't it? It can't be.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
Yeah.
And there's guys in big bands that I know who, when they're no out on tour, struggle, because they're too. I don't know what the word would be, but they can't see past the big time. You know what I mean? Whereas for me, it's just like that's the fun bit.
Aye, because I think obviously the purpose is there in playing in front, so if they've not got that purpose, then they might struggle in other areas of their life and that, you know what I mean?
Well, you know, but they see what, they look at me and they go, oh, I couldn't, Saturday night playing Taylor Swift.
Do you like Taylor Swift?
I don't, but that's not because I don't think she's, I think she's great and she writes her own songs and she's a pioneer, and I get that my daughters love her and I get the whole thing about her. It's just not for me, singing about, you know, that you know, what's the song, we keep the Christmas lights up until January. Don't give a fuck, you know. No.
Have you got any, confess here mate, have you got any guilty pleasures that you guys think, wait a minute?
I don't believe in guilty pleasures.
Right, okay.
I think you either like it or you don't.
Right, okay.
Like when I was talking about the Carpenters earlier, I fucking love the Carpenters.
Oh mate, she'd come along. No man, it's like, if you're in a low mood,
Mate,
watch what you're doing with this man.
Mate.
My mum was into that.
See that song Superstar?
It's just that kind, and the story behind it.
Mate.
And I had an interview with a brother, and it's like the track, how good of a band they were. But as soon as it mentioned for most people Carpenters, it's anorexia, it comes with it. Nothing to do with the music.
No, well, no, for me, the first thing I think is that voice, man. But I don't think guilty pleasure. I think like I like my kids listen to Chappell Roan. I think she's brilliant. Some of these songs are really good. I don't think you should feel guilty about something that you enjoy. You know, don't get me wrong. If you're if you're cutting about the street singing it, I'll have a word with you. You know what I mean? But no, I don't think you should feel bad for something that makes you feel good.
Mate, that's a good point. I realise a good view and take that there. Like, no, I mean, if either hits you or it doesn't. And so you don't try and influence your kids in regards to what they're listening to or anything like that, man. So that
No, I try not to. They hear. Because I listen, they listen to this guy Benson Boone. Have you heard him?
No, mate.
He's a kind of like he's like a pop star at the moment. And do you know what? Guy can sing. The tunes aren't half bad. Pretty good songs, you know. And he's playing guitar, and that's cool enough. You know, I think that's good. My son's recently taken up the drums. You know, my wife was like, you should be bad. And I never wanted to push them, so he's taking up the drums. And he's listening to like, what's he playing? Eye the Tiger.
Oh,
You know
that's good, man.
But he's finding like the Cars and Kiss and like all this stuff. And then my daughter, that's what I was saying to you earlier, like literally yesterday my guitar was sitting and I sort of went like, my daughter went, that's the reason, you know, we're able to do anything. Because I can play, I think I know 6 chords now. I've got a capo. Just move it up and down. Because I can play that, and she literally, like within an hour, she was playing the Henrik Larsson guitar. I was like, don't fucking screw it. No. Keep your arm like that so you don't rub it. And she was playing, and that's her 2 days, and she's away into the amp with the amp on and all that. So hopefully that's her on the start of her thing. I don't try and influence them at all. And any, like obviously I try and influence them, but when it comes to their taste in music and them picking up an instrument, I just try and let it be. Because I found my way, you know what I mean? And I was late, I was 11. Some kids are playing when they're like 4, and then when they get to 12 they're like, I fucking hate this.
Yeah, if you're forced to do that.
Jesus, you know, whereas my boy's he's got his electric kit, he goes in, he puts his headphones on, and he'll do that over playing his PlayStation a lot of the time now.
Wait, is it?
He's 11 this year.
Oh, that's fantastic, mate.
So, you know, he's finding his own way. He'll be in a band soon enough, you know. So aye.
The love affair will begin for him then?
I hope so. Because, well, I was pretty gutty because there's guitars all around my house now and they had to buy cymbals and snare drums and kick pedals and sticks and that. But he can come out with me, that's the thing. Like eventually be able to come out and work with me and see what it's all about, you know. I never really had that growing up. I just had to find my own way, and then I met these guys, Turin Brakes.
So it's a good actual. So in regards to each week, we asked our guests to bring on an album that's inspired them or they've got the biggest connection, not necessarily their favourite album kind of thing. It's what resonates most with them, mate. So if you could just talk us through your album, your choice, mate. Here.
Well, this is the Optimist LP by Turin Brakes. Turin Brakes were a band that I met when I was like 16. My cousin lives in Brighton, and he was friendly with the bass player, and Turin Brakes broke through in about 2000. And he'd say to me, "Oh, my mate Ed's in this band, Turin Brakes," and I'd sort of seen they were supporting like Travis and Stereophonics. So I said to my cousin, "Hey, chance you can get me into the gigs?" So he phoned Ed, who's still the bass player, and said, "Listen, my cousin's in Glasgow, can you put him on the guest list?" So that was fine on the guest list, but the two boys, it's Ollie and Gail, had heard cousin, and they thought I was Ed's cousin, not Ed's mate's cousin. So what started happening was, as the years went on, like the months actually, it was pretty quickly, there would be a wee pass waiting for me.
Right.
So Ed's cousin, so I would go and I was always fully like turning up, way, and dressing rooms going mad. And it wasn't for years till they found out that I actually was nothing to do with Ed. I was Ed's mate's cousin. But by that time we were like brothers. Like these guys informed pretty much everything I know about the music business. Like they were the first band that I was backstage with. They were the first band I toured with. They took me on tour and let me roadie, so I was looking after the guitars and bringing them on stage. And then they took me out in support. And I've just spent the last, well, what age am I now? I'm 41. Jesus Christ, man, that is a long time. It's so many years just hanging out with these guys, and I made a record with Ollie, I was saying, under the name Concrete Kid, last year or the year before. And this record, this was the first album they brought out, and they're so criminally underrated. This was a Mercury nominated record. Unbelievable. And they gave me this the night, so this says to Joe and Claire, "Tonight you played bass to help us out, and we love you. We also love your wife," which is nice, you know, I love her too. And this was in Liverpool, so we were going down to Liverpool for the weekend, and they just happened to be playing. Right. And the night before the gig, Rob, the drummer, phoned me, who played drums for me when I was like 20, 11, I would move to Brighton, and there's so many connections, I can't even tell you. And he was like, "Ed's got COVID. Do you want to come and play bass on some?" It was this anniversary tour, the 20th anniversary tour. I was like, "Aye, okay, I'll do that." Now I'm in Liverpool, not a guitar, nothing to practice on. Just have to go down with my knowledge of the songs, and Gail showed me how this goes like this, and I played bass, and it was I never realised it until I was on the stage. It was kind of a dream come true, because I'd sang with Ollie on stage when we were on tour and stuff like that, but I was part of the band. It was brilliant, man. It felt so great. They're just a wonderful bunch of human beings, and they're a very, very tight knit group. So for somebody like me at 16, who was fucking bananas, to be honest, to have been allowed into that world and stayed there since then, it's been pretty phenomenal. And they're still giving me opportunities, and they're still around to this day. They played my wedding and stuff. We've played at my wedding and stuff like that. So all these guys, I mean, were a ball here of pretty much everything, because they were really my gateway into the professional world of music, and they were the first guys to make me believe that I could actually make something of myself professionally. Right. You know, because they went, "Well, why don't you come with us?" And it was almost like a school, and they're the best. They really are the nicest guys.
So as I remember during breaks, it was any time it was I saw like any time they were on anything, it was like the two main guys, who and was the rest of the band, but they were able to.
So it's kind of started like that. It was Ollie and Gail who were signed, and then they had the guys in the band. There was Phil, who's not there anymore. He's in America now. There's Ed and Rob. But as the years have went on, now Rob manages the band. He's the drummer, and they've sort of morphed into this kind of 4-piece. So it went from originally being the two main guys, Ollie and Gail, and they had the backing band, but now it's a bona fide 4-piece band, and they all do a bit of this and they all do a bit of that. Great bunch of guys. Really, I mean, Ollie is one of the, just one of the greatest singers you'll ever hear. In a room, you go in a room and he's singing, you're like, fucking hell, man.
Really?
Oh, it's...
Is it kind of? It's almost kind of folky a wee bit as well. Turin.
This record is. I mean, they've sort of evolved as the years have went on. But this is a really kind of folky acoustic. This was 2000. So this was at like when like Coldplay, they'd done a lot of touring with Coldplay back in the day, and then like remember Athlete came out and it was all that sort of thing, and then Star Sailor, and so it was the start of that sort of acoustic revolution. But then the second record's pretty full on. That's where Painkiller is. You know that song. It was a big hit back in 2003.
I'll never know it then.
You will know it. You'll know the chord. I'm not going to sing it. I had a couple of coffees.
That's the thing as well. I want to listen to this album because anything I ever listened to, I always enjoyed the vibe for it. So see yourself, was it a full package? So it was like seeing their professionalism, doing what they've done for you. But what about the music, mate?
Well, I fell in love with the music first before I knew them. So I was watching them support like Stereophonics and Travis. Who else did I see them support? I can't remember. Loads of people at that point in time. And I was just like blown away. His voice especially, he'd been a singer, and he was really good to me because I would, at that point in time, I was 16, I was singing in pubs at 16, and at that time you could still smoke in bars. So I was singing in bars where it was just full of smoke, and I was hammering it, because you had to be hitting it hard, and Ollie taught me all about, you know, the PA do the work and let the mic, you know, the mic's there, you don't need to sing so loud, and he just aye, there's so many things, and there's so many silly fucking stories as well for being on tour buses and but the music, this record, this first track on this record is...
You want to pick it up, mate?
Aye, but it in, aye. The first 2 tracks on that record, I mean, they were on top of the pops with this record.
That's right, aye, I can't remember
that,
mate, yeah.
But I mean, that full side A, that's pretty much as perfect a one-side A record as you can get for me. It's amazing, really, really good. And again, like, they didn't know what they were making, so they just make this sort of alt folk sort of acoustic record, and they weren't trying to they almost kicked the trend off. You know, they were at the forefront of that when it became the acoustic movement. They were one of the forefront bands, so they just made a record that they really fucking loved. I mean, these guys were on, remember when they really done Live Aid? They done Live 8. They were on that record.
Right.
So we're talking about a couple of guys who have fucking done a thing or two, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I love them, and I don't think they know how important they are specifically to me.
And you've never told them?
I mean, I'm sure I've told them when I've been further away.
So it must have been like, almost like we're talking like what resonates most with in regards to the album about memories and what's bringing up, and you know, a wee happy space and the release of dopamine. But watching them and recognizing and respecting them, then having a chance to actually play bass in regards to, you know, some of the songs that's for that album, that is literally, you know what I mean, you're talking about a dream come true there, but
pretty much. I mean,
a special night for you, that.
It was pretty brilliant. It was great because they trusted me. I know how, and Ed is one of the fucking best bass players you'll hear. So for them to trust me to come and do that was lovely. But it's just at that point, it's just your mates asking you to play music, you know. So it kind of isn't a big deal until it is a big deal, if that makes sense. Till you're stood there on the stage and you look over and your mate Rob's playing the drums and you're the guy that's meant to be locked in with him, and you know the guy that's been doing it for the last 20 years. Wow. You know, and they trust you to come and play the bass. So it was a bit of a full circle thing for me. I mean I can't speak for them, but I'm sure they I think they did enjoy it, because obviously I don't play like Ed. So it must have been different, but I think it was a good different feel, different kind of, you know, expression on how you play and stuff like that. But it was like 4 or 5 songs I'd done. because they were playing acoustic things as well, but it was a great night. And Liverpool's a great city. You ever been down?
Oh,
it's fucking brilliant. I love it down there.
Aye.
Okay.
I had friends, I lived in Leeds late 90s, and I lived the way I shared that house with a couple of Scousers, so I spent a lot of time I spent a lot of time in a few cities round about, and like Liverpool's just like Glasgow but down south, I think, right? Because I was in, the first time I was ever come off in Liverpool, got off the Line Street, went to McDonald's, me and my two pals.
First place you go to whenever you go anywhere, obviously.
However, I've been maybe doing in England twice. There's certain things when Scottish live on the West Coast, you forget, like the wee things that are just part and parcel of everyday life. So I was talking to a Big Mac, and somebody bounced in and said, "You want to buy a jumper?" That's right, and it's like, I've only saw this again. Like, you know, it was obviously just hot after the press. Somebody just lifted it
straight off a lorry. Did you buy one?
So it's like, no, it was just a shock of, oh my god, this, and it's like their accent's a nasal accent as well. It was very much like a Glaswegian thing as well, though I'm a boy for Lanarkshire myself, but it was like, I just thought, wow, this is just like, so, you know, how friendly but dodgy at the same time the people can be as well, like, you know what I mean?
I love it. We were doing recently, we went and watched the football, and
Liverpool or Everton?
Liverpool.
Right.
Went to see Liverpool Wolves, and I went, so we were staying on the Arkles Road, right at the stadium, and I went down to the pub, the Arkles pub, and within, minutes of being in, the barman, "Oh, you're not from here, where are you from? Come sit with us." Just lovely
That was
lovely
my
people.
experience of Scousers as well.
Aye.
The one was a red, one was a blue though. You know what I mean?
What are you?
I'm a blue as well. So
It's like traffic lights here. I'm a green, by the way, just in case anybody's wondering.
Your Liverpool Rod Stewart, your head like Larson guitar.
Well, you know, of course we've covered that. I know. I wouldn't get the job otherwise.
Well, I tell you what, as a Rangers fan, I see how special Henrik Larsson is in regards to, you know, what he brought to Scottish football and the man he was and what he went on to do and all that as well. And it was actually somebody you shouldn't, you know, you're meant to hate people like that, but just the way the footballer he was, like, you know what I mean, he's a hard man to hate.
It's the Brian Laudrup thing. It goes the other way with guys like Brian Laudrup. I think he's the same kind of thing, you know, when it comes to certain, they go, "What a bastard, but fuck, what a player."
You
know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Gaza, I think the same. I really like Gaza. I find him, obviously it's a shame what's happened to him and stuff like that, but I really, that was when I was just sort of really starting to get into football, and I found him really entertaining. I really enjoyed him.
I think, see, there's similarities. See, when you're talking about the Rolling Stones there in the thin line at the start of the podcast and stuff, and often people say that about Gaza and Maradona and stuff like that, saying, see, if they weren't as crazy, they'd have been a better player. But it was actually the craziness that made them. If you took that away, I don't think they'd have been the player.
I think sport's a bit different in it. I think sport, because music relies so much on I think you need to be, how do I describe this? I don't think you can go into a studio and spend the money you're spending a day in a studio, be absolutely plastered and make anything of note. I think there's got to be some sort of vision and straightness, and bearing in mind these guys weren't playing football drunk. Maradona was possibly on other things, but that only enhances your performance. You know, they weren't playing football drunk, it was their off the field antics that we're talking about here that maybe gave them their character and stuff like that. But the guys were great football players.
Artists, mate, I'd say they're artists. See, at that level, especially Maradona, that is a theatre, that football field, he done stuff, and I think at that level of genius, mate, people intertwine at that level of that godlike genius, you know what I mean? And I think you're right, obviously they couldn't do in the park, steaming drunk, but it's one is fueling the other, I think, at times, and after it, and I think that's a good thing about music like yourself, it's a lifelong obsession that could always be part of you, but the guys like that would maybe struggle as soon as they're peaked, and then it's the struggle to find normality after that kind of godlike existence.
Well, I know. I mean, you look at I was talking earlier about Ray Mead. Do you know Ray? He's a pal of mine. He's the bass player in Ocean Colour Scene.
Right.
He loves Maradona. He's like Maradona's like his
Mm-hmm.
footballing idol, and he's just made a record
Right.
about Maradona. I've yet to. I bought one. But they sent me it. I bought it on his thing. But I've yet to listen to it. But on the cover is Maradona, and you're talking about a guy who's no kicked a ball for since '94 World Cup. So we're talking 30 years. And there's people like that writing records about him. That's the level of genius and reverence you're talking about. We Billy Gilmore. I know I've kind of got to know Billy over the last couple of years. And he's in Naples now, and he says it's just you can't move. It's just Maradona.
What he does in Napoli is just, and probably one of the greatest things for a footballer like that would be when he played in Naples with Argentina in the semi-finals of the World Cup, and the Napoli fans were booing the Argentinian national anthem, and you know how the camera pans along each player as the anthems are going. It's incredible to watch. He's saying he's sworn Spanish like you son of a bitch.
I've not seen this.
He was fucking raging, and actually the crowd kind of clocked it, and a mad thing happened that these Napolisians started cheering for the Argentina team, and the Argentina put them out, and they get clapped after it. It was like, see the initial, it was just like, oh, we're the home fans, let's boo the other teams. He's fucking livid. Listen, he's like, you son of a bitch. He's like, for what he done for the city.
Well, he
took it personal. And he won the league and then some. But I think, maybe hopefully a movie at one time he released his carry on. But I do think see right now, I think the 8 doctors that were involved in him, they're all in court. They're all hit for his overdose, his death, or whatever it was.
There's definitely some fucking suspicious activity going on there. Well, I'll never forget, remember the '94 World Cup where he goes up to the camera?
Aye.
He definitely wasn't on anything at that point. Definitely hadn't touched it. He looked absolutely sound of mind.
Aye.
Fucking hell, man. I remember watching that as a wee guy and even thinking, this guy's fucking mental. So I'd have been 10, 94, and it's the first World Cup I remember. And funny enough, I remember Henrik Larsson, he played for Sweden.
Right.
I remember Maradona, and I remember Hristo Stoichkov played for Bulgaria, and I ended up meeting Hristo Stoichkov, and I said that to him. I went, I've got a photo of him about, it was about 4 stone ago, man. You want to see this suit jacket I've got on? Oh Jesus Christ! I look like if there was a wind machine, I would like, know how they bat things that you fly in, like you can do that. I'd fucking take it off. I'm storing, and I said to him, you're my first memory of World Cup football.
Aye.
And Georgie Haji as well.
Aye.
That was that World Cup.
They were nice, was it?
Unbelievable. That was brilliant. And it was sunny, like a World Cup should be.
Yeah.
The games were played in the day, and it was sunny, and it was fucking brilliant,
man. Yeah. I think Maradona's inspired me other just for our players as well, like, you know what I mean? And,
drug addicts and drug dealers and
mafioso types. So
restaurant tours. We'll get a restaurant in Naples, we'll get Maradona, it'll be fine.
Right. What's
going on? Can I get ice and sugar on my pudding, please? It's custard. Get it on.
Yeah, mate. He was a character indeed, but so it is, mate. It's a beautiful story, and I think what you're and not to take away, it seems like what you're saying. You play at your strengths. You know your strengths, and there's beauty and simplicity, and that's a simple album. If I'm right in saying, and it's like they're not any virtuosos as well. So and I think like it's fair. Kind of comes back to the genuineness. Can you feel something for what you get, what they try to tell you in this album? Did it kind of resonate with your style as well? Would you say?
At that time, I was playing acoustic guitar and singing. It's a really dry album. There's no really any reverb on it.
Right.
It's mixed, really vocal heavy. I don't know. It felt like a breath of fresh air to me. It just felt like something new. You bear in mind we're living in a time at this point, I mean, I just got my first mobile phone. I was 16, but it wasn't like it is now. You know, you couldn't look up. You know, if you were wondering about something, you couldn't just look it up and watch it. You know, look at this. You know, it felt like something new. And I had been into like I haven't been carried along in the Britpop thing and that was dying. You know, at that point, 2000. You know, you're talking about the Stereophonics, Just Enough Education to Perform was out. You know, Cast had kind of fallen away. Ocean Coliseum were still going. I think they'd won for the Modern was around about that time. You know, Oasis were, what were they at? They were kind of Standing Shoulder of Giants was...
Be Here Now was like...
No, that was 97, so I think Standing Shoulder of Giants had just come out. And it just all felt a bit like... And then...
Was Gomez a part of that as well, maybe?
I think they came around just before. I think they might have been 98. Right. But they were more in that sort of beta band kind of thing with the sort of electronic, you know, informed sort of David Gray kind of like, you know, slightly electronic. This is just pure acoustic movement kind of thing. But I really like those records as well. Like I like the Gomez record. I really like I really like I mean that wasn't even David Gray's. That was like David Gray's 4th or 5th record, White Ladder. You know, and you know all that sort of thing. I don't know why it hit me. I think there's a certain element of I know these guys. You know, there's obviously that comes into play. You know, they've got me into gigs and this is great. I'm backstage. I'm having a fucking, you know, there was all that. You're caught up in all that sort of romance and all that. But when it comes down to it, when you put that record on and you listen to it from start to finish, it's a fucking great record.
Do you when's the last? Has it been a while since you listened to it, or would you at points listen to it regularly?
I used to listen to it all the time. I've not listened to it for a long time. What have I been listening to recently? My brother-in-law got me into the latest Father John Misty thing, Masha something. Look it up. Father John. It's the unpronounceable album name with Masha at the front of it.
Okay.
So I've been listening to that a lot recently. Have you heard the new Elton John? This is going to sound nuts, but the new Elton John and Brandy Carlile album.
I was aware they've got a new album.
Is it? Aye, I like her. I think she's brilliant.
Who is it?
Brandy Carlile. She's an American sort of Americana.
Right. I don't know.
She's really good. Great singer. I mean, I'm into good singer. I like great singers. Right. That's kind of why this appealed to me as well. Because when I was trying to find my voice as a singer, I was kind of somewhere between like the Britpop Liam Gallagher thing, and then I think we were talking about earlier. Like I was doing a lot of work with a band called the Grim Northern Social at the time, and a guy called Hugh McFarlane, and then I was really into them, and I ended up working with them as well. And you know, he sort of informed a lot of what I was doing at that point in time as well. So I kind of had to get away from that, and that's where Ollie stepped in, and he was like, "Listen, you know, do this, try, don't sing so hard, you know." And he really recognised that I needed just a wee bit of guidance. So having been pretty sure that I wanted to be a musician, and knowing that was never going to be anything different, and knowing that I'd stay in my lane, I was really quite insecure in terms of what my identity was. Is that, you know, I knew what I wanted to do and I knew how I wanted to do it, but how was I going to put myself across in terms of how I looked and how I sounded was always an issue until I was about 20, 21, because when you're a young man, you're looking at guys and you're going, "Oh, I want to be like him. Oh no, I want to be like him. Oh, I want to be like him." And, you know, you're sort of trying to discover yourself. But I got there in the end. I think, you know, I'm quite good at being pretty open about that. Like, no qualms. I was trying to sort of copy people.
Of course.
Not like rip them off, but I was taking bits that I liked for him and bits that I liked for her and bits that I liked for them, and I was trying to make it into my own thing instead of just fucking doing my own thing. But everybody does that, you know, and that's fine. Even Liam Gallagher. I mean, Liam Gallagher was copying John Lydon and fucking John Lennon, you know, and he made a career at it.
And they didn't hate it.
No, why should he? You know what I mean? That's his influences, you know. But I think the difference was that he put his own thing into that, whereas I wasn't doing that. I was just sort of trying to be something that I kind of wasn't. I wanted to be this, this cool rock star, and I'm kind of not like that at all, really. I'm pretty self-deprecating. I'm pretty down to earth. I've got, I think you have to have some sort of ego and to be doing what it is that you're doing, but there's also, you've really low self-esteem as well. You have issues with that, like doubting yourself, and which you would if if you're going to go about fucking swinging your guitar on your head, and you have to have some form of ego, but there's sometimes you go, oh, I am a fucking idiot, do you know what I mean, like and
you've got to learn that, mate. You don't know, you got to go places to then know, oh, that's not what I'm about. But you wouldn't have known that unless you went there.
And I'm still doing it in my 40s, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
I think, and anybody says that they've got it cracked is a fucking liar. Because it's hard, man. It's a hard old.
I think sometimes, see, I want to do with culture, see that kind of bit of reservedness almost. And I like I say, we spoke about it before about Primal Scream, when I watched the documentary on their second album, and it was a really famous producer of that album, in where was it, Nashville, that they done that. And he had said that there was a few ballads that he'd never sung before, and he says, I really tried. He says he was almost scared to sing his own voice, and it was a beautiful voice he had. And see, listen, what's the song in particular? It's a beautiful ballad that he sings, and it's like, wow, it's like it took somebody for almost, the other side of the world to say, what's holding you back here? What's these rules that you need to appear as the rock star or something like that, man? It was like, be fucking vulnerable, yeah, Egypt kind of thing. And I think often in us it can be, I don't want to put west of Scotland, but there is a certain degree. But see, to be fair, what I'm feeling for you, mate, you had the ability to shine through that as well. I know you're saying it's still a process that you're learning from, but you had that, I'll do it. And it's like, less so maybe down to yourself, but even better than that, you didn't care what anybody was thinking about you, man. That is, for me, that's a superpower, mate.
Well, I mean, it's not that you don't care, it's just that you're willing to sacrifice what anybody think. You don't, I mean, if they're going to think that, then that's fair enough, I mean, you can't affect what somebody else thinks of you. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, there'll be times when something will come up and I'll go, I don't think I could do that, because if I ever went into the fucking pub again and people had seen me do that, then no, I'd take a slagging for that, But that's probably within your heart of hearts, you know yourself that, you shouldn't really be doing that, in terms of like a career move or a gig or whatever, But 9 times out of 10, I think you've just got to do it and then worry about what other people think later, and as we said earlier, like the first yes leads to the next thing, and then it leads to the next thing, and it leads to the next thing. If you're constantly sitting in your room waiting on somebody coming to knock your door down and tell you you're fucking brilliant, and because you can play the fucking Stairway to Heaven solo, you'll be fucking sitting in there forever. You know what I mean? And as I said earlier, I've never cared about that. Never cared about being able to fly up and down the guitar or sing the highest or fucking never interested me, still Disney. And when people do it, I go, wow, they're fucking brilliant. But,
it doesn't mean anything to you.
Disney really mean anything to me, no. Disney really, no really. Because you've got to be in it, you've got to be out there and doing it, you know what I mean? And some of the best guys aren't they? But that's up to them, And I'm able to fucking play my guitar and somebody gives me money at the end of the night and I go up the road and I make a living out of doing it, that's.
And absolutely, I mean, that in and of itself, that hustle that you're in and making and travelled the world through a bit of wood with some strings on it, I've got to say, that's as daunting or as inspiring as it can get, I think, for that ability for you to sit here, and knowing it's no the end yet or anywhere near it kind of thing, mate. You know what I mean? That's exciting. So where do you see yourself, friend, mate? Like you say, you've no wrote for a wee while. So you're not talking years. Did COVID have an impact on you? As I'm musician and stuff like that? Did that?
I did it. So fucking long ago. COVID for me, I just sort of remember like having to just get through it. Just having to get through it. I walked through COVID, I delivered fruit and veg through COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's that thing where like, you know, you've got to fucking work, you've got to do it. So who gives a fuck what you're doing, just go and do it.
Wow.
So I done that, and then funny enough, a guy I know that runs St Luke's, Michael, the last gig I done was for him on St Patrick's Day, and he said to me that night, he went, I'm going to get you in every week, so we'll just sort it out. And then the next week we went to see Supergrass at the Barland, and then the next day was pretty much lockdown. So that was that, but I'll never forget it, the day they lifted the ban, my phone went, I was in my van delivering fucking courgettes to somebody, and it was Michael, and he went, right, that's the ban lifted, come and see me, and he gave me every Thursday and every Sunday.
Wow.
And that was me. I could go and quit my job, and then I started, we had done the Johnny Mac thing with Rod, and then that all picked up again, and we were out on tour again with Rod, and then and then you're in, and you're just.
So there's certainly other business about you kind of over the years you get kind of thicker skin to just stay in the pocket, roll with the punches.
Aye, I mean,
say yes when you can.
Aye, and no having any like, you know, you want to play in my cousin's pub. Aye.
Wow.
You know, I'll set up my MPA. You know, I'll come play, man. Honestly, I don't have any snobbery at all. You know, I've played like communions and all that. Like that's cool with me. That's fine. Communions, fucking kids' birthday parties, dinners. You know, and even in their gigs, and all my mates who do it as well. Even in their gigs, the one thing leads to the next, to the next, to the next.
It's maybe an unfair question. Have you got a favourite experience in regards to live music then?
What was that? It's my lawnmower impression. My favourite experience, I'm trying to think of something. The Cantona thing definitely sticks out. That was amazing. Because the next night we played Aberdeen, and he had said to me, I'd said, I'll be in Aberdeen later. I'm going to the football tomorrow. And he went, blue or green? I said, Celtic. He went, So when I went to Aberdeen, I took him a bottle of whiskey, because we had been fucking getting pictures with him and all that, which I don't normally do, but I'd had a few and I thought, Eric, come get a picture. Your Uncle Joe. And so I went in, and then so I'm at the game and my brother-in-law phones me and goes, mate, I hate to do this, but a big guy that I know, but it's his mate. He said he's just had his weigh-in last week and he is a bona fide Man United fan. Could you get a shirt signed for him? So I said aye. So they dropped the shirt after the game. So I went into his dressing room with a bottle of whiskey and I went, this is just to say sorry about last night. And he went, oh, no problem. And I said, would you sign this shirt for me? It's no for me, it's for a wee baby. So I think he was testing me, he went, what's the name? And I was like, Louis. And he went, French. So he was fucking quite the thing. And then he went, and Celtic. And I went, we won the day. And he went, And I said, but we weren't Rangers to beat a 5:30. And he went, of course. And I was like, fucking, this is magic. So that was pretty good. And just being around him was brilliant. But I mean, I suppose the sort of pinnacle of everything that I've done some great tours with Turin Brakes, done some great stuff with like Martha Wainwright and the Proclaimers, done some stuff with her.
She's playing again.
She's great. We used to be pals, but we've sort of fell out of touch. I've got a number somewhere in my phone.
I saw her 2005 at the art college, and it just blew me away, that gig.
She was good. So I took her to see her in Edinburgh and she got me up on stage and stuff. And I supported her mum. That was how that friendship came about. I supported Kate Gallagher in Brighton. And she said to me that night, she went, my daughter's in town next week, she would love you. You have to come and say hello.
Wow.
So of course I did, and we ended up doing like the Across the Universe in our hotel room. I went, so things like that have been great. You know, Manny fucking at I met Manny in a queue at a festival to get free jeans. I know it was what was the jean cut? I can't remember. Anyway, I stood in the queue and he stood next to me and alright mate, alright. And then the Joy Division was on. and it was fucking Love Will Tear Us Apart, and it started to slow down, and he tapped me on the shoulder and he went, "Is that slowing down? Am I that mashed already?" I was like, "That's fucking brilliant." So anyway, we're stood in the queue and he's sort of chatting away about nothing, and the guy comes to my shot in the queue, and he goes, "It's a Belgian guy, we're in Belgium. What are you after?" I says, "I'm looking for like a skinny jean. I'm a few stone heavier at this point, right? I said, I'm looking for something kind of skinny here and sort of loose up here." And he went, "Skinny jeans for the fat man." So he said, so Manny's pitching himself. So fast forward about, I don't know how many years later, I'm supporting Freebase and Tuts. So it's Manny, Peter Hook, and Andy Rook.
Right.
Freebase.
Wow.
So I meet Manny in the stairwell and how you doing, mate? And he says, "How are you?" I says, "I'm brand new." I went, "You might not remember this." I says, "But I was stood in a queue with you to get free jeans at a festival in Belgium." And he went, "Skinny jeans for the fat." Fucking
He remembered it. Brilliant.
But I think that, things like that are always good fun. But I think, like, if you're talking about like some of the greatest times, it's been on the sort of Rod Stewart Arena tour. Things have been great. They were magic. Just turning up and catering and your dinner and your fucking guitars put on you and your gears all set up and
Was that the Oval?
Well, I played the Hydro like fucking 7 times, and the O2 6 in London, the Manchester Arena 3 or 4 times. Played every arena in the country about 4 or 5 times. Wow. So like, if you're talking about like big gigs and fun and like really enjoying yourself and being with your mates, and and hopefully it's not the end of it, You're still kicking about and you're still doing stuff.
You in the moment there, mate?
100%. At that point in time, I'm wise enough to know that you take this in.
Aye.
You don't get scared. You don't
get mad yet.
Well, I wasn't drinking the first tour I went on. The first one in 2019, I was after drink, so I was completely. So that can't be said for a couple after. But even at that, like, just the fun we had was we just made sure we had the best time, and we got on with all his crew and his band were brilliant, and we just had the best time. And he really looked after us. He was really good to us. We ended up playing his house and stuff like that. His Christmas party. We were like his favourite band. So like, he ended up coming into our dressing room the 2019 tour, and he was like, "I know you're meant to have 4 days off, but we're having a Christmas party and Penny normally gets this fucking school choir to come and sing, but I've told her I want you to come and play, will you come and do it? And if I hire the PA and the kit and all that, will you come and do it?" So we were like, "Aye, fucking right." So we ended up playing this party, and fucking Ronnie Woods ends up coming up and playing guitar and all this sort of stuff.
Have you seen Blantyre too?
So this was at Cross Baskets.
Alright, what is Blantyre?
No, this was his house in Essex. And so Ronnie Wood's up playing fucking Ooh La La and all that was, so that stuff is, I mean, that's pretty fucking, that's pretty incredible. And I don't ever really like, I've got a chat with my mates, we've got this wee band called the Tyre Walking Rollers.
The what, sorry?
The Tyre Walking Rollers. We do like charity, we raise money for Terminal 1 in Blantyre, pretty much. It's me, John Tierney, Kenny McInally, Scott Fletcher and Doug's Alan McDonald. And I don't normally but that night I was like, "You're never going to fucking believe this," and I sent the photos and it was madness. So that's probably I mean, if you've done anything cooler than that, then fucking good on you, But I did enjoy that. That was good fun.
That sounds pretty outstanding, mate. Do you have any plans, or are you just a yes man?
I've got plans. I mean, I plan to just take it as it comes and really just enjoy it. So you can get and what we do, you can get so caught up in chasing the next thing. I've kind of stopped chasing the next thing. I'm doing this Shane McGowan thing at the moment with John McLaughlin. He worked with Shane McGowan and wrote songs and recorded in the studio. So he's put this. We've done a run at the Edinburgh Festival last year, sold out run, and we're taking that on the road in the summer. We're doing some festivals. We're going to Belgium and Holland.
What's the support? What is it kind of?
So he tells
folks.
Well, he tells stories about when he worked with Shane,
okay.
and we've got pictures on the screen, and then we'll play like Shane songs. So it's kind of like a show, but it's a gig as well. It's fucking mad. It's really good. We're playing in St Luke's on the 17th, and then we do Dundee, then Aberdeen, then Edinburgh, and then we've got stuff in Europe, and then some festivals. So I'm doing that now, and I'm enjoying that, and that's as far ahead as I'm kind of looking, really. And then other than that, I'm just, if something comes up, then I'll have a look at it, and hopefully it can all work out. But I mean, my days of worrying about things chasing things are kind of gone.
Great.
You can chase all you want, you can chase all you want, but going back to that thing, it's about being in the right place at the right time. And these things normally fall to the right people. This is the right band for me to be in, definitely. I was meant to be in this, but doing this.
Right.
I was definitely meant to be on those road tours. I was meant to be, I know that, because I was there, and it worked, and we're still together, you know what I mean? So that's how I think about it. I don't ever think, oh, how lucky. I mean, it is lucky and it's great and all that, but somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
It just happens to be.
Why not you? And I think with that intention, more will come.
I think so. I mean, that's and I think always Craig Reid for the Proclaimers. I remember him saying to me, he said to me, just kill them with kindness. Even if it's a shit day and the sound isn't right and it's going, just kill them with kindness. Because that way you'll know you know the guy that's fucking shouting at everybody. You see it all the time, these fucking stroppy fucking prima donnas, you know what I mean? But
I must have met a lot of the time.
Eh?
You must have met a lot.
I've met a few. It's funny because it's always the guy like fucking fourth on the bill, who happened to have a fucking a short appearance on This Morning or something. It's never the big fucking top of the tree guys. It's never them. In my experience, anyway, anybody I've ever met like that has always been spot on. It's always the wee snotters. You know what I mean? The wee fucking snotters that you go, fuck off, mate. He's a wreck.
No, I think actually it sounds like, mate, you know what you're good at, you know what you want, and you know what you don't want. You know what I mean? And I think that's a kind of winning combo you've got there. It's a good formula that sounds and it fits in your life, the life as your being a father and a husband and all that as well. And I think for me that's got to be absolutely respected and celebrated, by the way. Like, you know what I mean? But it seems as well, which is really good. You're a humble man, you don't take this for granted as well, mate. No. So man, I wish you many more gigs.
Thanks, man.
Many more. Aye, and I'd like to actually, it'd be nice to see. You got anything coming up for the viewers at home? We could see you or anything.
I'm doing this Shane McGowan thing.
Okay.
On the 17th of April, which is next Thursday. And then.
And you enjoy that, mate?
I love it, man. I love it. I love the guys I'm in the band with. I love them all. They're all. There's a guy, Andy McCaffrey, I've known my whole life. He's there, and we John and great Terry, my mate Terry, Mikey, Gary, Katrina, brilliant band. And I really enjoy that. More Johnny Mac stuff probably. And I probably will. I'll probably do something with this Concrete Kid thing that I've done with Ollie. And then I might just make some music and put it out there. But I think you've got to do it for the right reasons, you know. But I'll certainly get onto it sooner rather than later. Just finding the time as well, you know. You want to sort of have a good, nice balance. You know, of work and being at home and stuff like that. And my priorities are all changed as well as I've got older, you know. The days I've gone and spending 3 days in the studio, it's just not possible anymore. But I've still got, I mean, through it all, I've still got ambitions and I've still got dreams. You know, that's important. But I've done enough to be, I've done more than enough for if somebody went, right, that's it, then I could sit back and go, no, that's a fucking pretty good run. Enjoyed that. Magic, feet up, get a fucking Gardener's World done. Homes Under the Hammer, cup of tea, camel waver. Magic. That's
a great attitude, it really is, but something tells me that it's not going to happen.
Fucking right, it's not going to happen.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
I've waffled on, but thanks for having me. I've
never met you before this, mate. I've just sat and I've really enjoyed listening to you, and I think this is what the podcast is all about, meeting people like yourself and talking about where you're at and what music means to you. And absolutely, I would encourage the listeners or the viewers to getting about this album of Turin Brakes and have a kind of look out where Joe's next. That does sound a good gig that you've got with the polls and that as well.
Get down and see it. It's great. It's a party. It's good fun, man.
Right, mate.
Top man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks again. And thanks for listening and watching. And hopefully we'll see you in the next couple of weeks. Cheers. Thank you.